Okay, Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Assalamu alaikum and Ramadan Kareem Mubarak. Hope you're well. I'd forgotten actually to put the link up till just now. See if I can get it pinned. Oh, actually, I did have it pinned. Okay. That's all right then. Okay. I don't see it over here though. Wait for it again. Let's try and get it pinned again anyway. All right. Hope everybody's okay, that the Ramadan is doing all right. Replace pinned message. Okay. Let's get back to StreamYard. Okay, yes. Assalamu alaikum. Hope you're doing well. Bera. And Nasir, USA, good to see you. What's your point of view of what's happening in the world at the moment regarding Iran, also from an Islamic perspective? Well, I mean, in Islamic perspective, it's just basically that, the West, the Epstein class has been after Iran on behalf of Israel for a very long time, right? So this is basically just the culmination of that. They tried to go for the whole regime change and all the rest of the stuff that they wanted, but they miscalculated. They thought Iran was much less than it was. The hubris, the arrogance, the bigotry, and I think also racism towards them made Iran wouldn't be able to do anything like this. But Iran is basically winning, isn't it? I just actually saw a message or a short clip. I don't know if it's true or not, but somebody's saying that Iran has basically given the Gulf countries 48 hours to decide between having American bases and allowing American planes to use the airspace, or the oil fields, basically. Either they're going to have to choose between having one or the other. An ultimatum, essentially, that if they don't basically kick out the American bases and stop the US from using the airspace, then Iran is going to go after the oil and the oil fields and the oil infrastructure. So I think they're justified in doing it. Iran, they've been very, very patient. They've negotiated in good faith. They've done all of this, and each time, all these negotiations have just been cover for the US to do a surprise attack or a sneak attack or something. So I think the person you need to ask mostly is the perfect Dawah. I wonder how he's doing. If you remember him, our Iranian friend from the channel, The Perfect Dawah. He's very much anti-Iran. He thinks it's the biggest shaitan in the Middle East. It's the problem causing all the problems in the Middle East is Iran. And I don't see that at all. I mean, the main problem is, of course, Israel. Nothing else. So this, and it's looking like this could be the end of Israel, right? They're really pummeling Israel hard, even though we don't see we don't see that much footage of it. But anyway, that is what it is. So while we wait for anybody to come on, I'm going to keep the stream on for a good while to allow people a chance to come on. I know a lot of people. I posted this pretty early, and I shared it. I think on Reddit and on Twitter, because of course normally we do this in the weekends, but I remember somebody asking me to do it on a Wednesday. I don't know who it was. I forgot. So I thought I'd do it today on a Wednesday, since I was going to do the Q&A one rather than a normal one. While we're waiting for somebody, I thought, let's look at a couple of videos together. I'll share the screen in a minute. I want to go to Ziriab Jamal's channel, and it's a very interesting video he recently put up with Dr. Jawahir Dawood, somebody who I used to follow on Twitter before he blocked me. But a very interesting video. I thought maybe we could watch it together. It's subtitled, but let's put it on anyway. Maybe afterwards I'll bring on a different video instead.
الروايات التاريخية الرسمية المقبولة
Hold on. Let's see, did I? Hold on, I don't know if I did this properly. Did I share screen with the audio or not? Let me get a bit bigger. Share audio, yes, it's there. Okay, so this is a very interesting video, basically about the issue of the 7 ahruf and the qira'at, right? So I personally believe, of course, that the Prophet only taught the Quran in one version, so to speak, in one qira'ah, right? And everything else is a divergence of that, right? And Dr. Jawahir here basically says the same thing. So he's saying that the official, historical, accepted and relied upon narrations to this day say that the companions used to recite the Quran with different, with terms different. So
الناس هذا تقول إن الصحابة كانوا يقرؤون القرآن الكريم بلفظ غير اللفظ الذي سمعوه من رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم.
Different terms in different words, right? That they heard from those that the Prophet recited. Now that isn't exactly, I don't think it's comprehensively true. There are narrations which say that, of course, right? But of course, it's he's saying it's official, historical, accepted, relied upon narrations, right? Okay, yeah, there are some narrations like that, but looking at the whole corpus together and everything all together, no, the majority official opinion of most of Sunni Islam, that is, they say no, that the companions recited every different lafz or word that they recited, they had actually heard from the message of Allah.
انت رحت على أبردين في بريطانيا، عملت موضوع الدكتوراه تاعتك حول القرآن،
صحيح،
جمع القرآن،
صحيح.
وهل النص أو هل النسخة الموجودة بين أيدي المسلمين هل هي نسخة حقيقية ولا صار فيها تلاعب وفق دراستك؟
أنا توصلت بعد بحث طويل جدا حتى قبل الدكتوراه يعني أن القرآن الذي بين أيدينا هو عين القرآن الذي كان يتلوه رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم.
Okay, so he is saying that that he reached the conclusion after a long time of researching, even before he did his PhD, that the Quran that we have now is exactly the same as was recited by the Prophet. Now, I don't even know what he means by that, right? So is he talking about, because of course there are different qira'at, is he talking about hafs, okay, the most popular recitation, or is he talking about something else? I don't know what he means by that, right? It's the same. What do you mean the same? Because the qira'at that we have right now are not exactly the same. But the wording that which he uses here in Arabic, it says huwa aynul, basically like, it doesn't have to mean exact. I know Ziriyab here translated it as exact, but it doesn't have to mean that it's exact.
طب كيف توصل؟
طويل
He's basically saying
جدا
the
حتى
essence.
قبل الدكتوراه، يعني أن القرآن الذي بين أيدينا هو عين القرآن الذي كان يتلوه رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم.
Okay, he's saying that it's basically, I don't know what I mean. Why is he using such a flimsy wording? Sort of huwa aynul Quran. It is the eye, the eye of the Quran, basically, like almost the same, but it doesn't have to mean that.
وسلم.
Right?
طب
What
كيف
do you mean by
توصلت
that?
لهذا الإثبات؟
هذا السؤال جميل جدا. لا تتوصل إلى الإجابة على هذا السؤال من خلال قراءة التراث.
Yeah, so he's asking, how did you reach this? How did you reach this conclusion? And he's saying, you're not going to be able to reach his conclusion by reading the inherited corpus of the, the narrations and the traditions. You're not going to be able to get to that conclusion. All right, but he never
لا
answers
تتوصل
why,
إلى
how
الإجابة
he
على
got
هذا
to it.
السؤال من خلال قراءة التراث.
لا يمكن.
أبدا، لأن التراث شديد الاضطراب فيما يتعلق بنقل القرآن الكريم، كيف كان وكيف كان يتلى.
Yeah, and that's very true, right? So the transmission of the Quran and how it went, how it was recited, and how it, it's not. There's a lot of like chaotic narrations within that, right?
ليس واضحا أبدا، بالعكس التراث يعني الروايات التاريخية الرسمية المقبولة والمعتمدة حتى يوم الناس هذا تقول إن الصحابة كانوا يقرؤون القرآن الكريم بلفظ غير اللفظ الذي سمعوه من رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم.
So I think personally he's making a bigger deal of this than it is, right? So he's saying that you can't come to the conclusion that the Quran that we have now is the same as the Prophet recited. You can't know this by studying the traditions and the narrations, and what we have. It can't be done. The narrations are too chaotic, and to be honest, this is sort of like some of the things which I maybe butt heads with him a bit much on, but it's almost like he wants to like make his work seem more important by making the problem bigger than it is, right? And this, I've seen some of his work that he's published about how he basically cross-references certain. He's saying that different surahs have different sort of like linguistic fingerprints within them. The certain words are used in certain surahs, right, rather than others. And he has these nice, very nice insights, but they're very small pieces. And very like in this verse and this verse and that verse, they don't get to the from his work you can't prove what he says he's proving, right? Which is that the Quran is exactly the same. It can't be done, right? Just and without using the traditions and whatnot.
كان مرخصا لهم في أن يبدلوا بعض الألفاظ بما تيسر لهم.
So he's saying here, for example, that the Sahaba used to recite in different words, the Quran in different words, so they would just basically swap out synonyms, to make things easier for them. And again, that's not very accurate, right? I mean, in terms of the narrations, where he's talking about the narrations, I mean, you have the narration of the seven ahruf, which he talks about, right? And that's the main narration here, right? And what happens in that narration? Umar hears somebody reciting the Quran differently to how he heard it from the Prophet. Then he grabs him afterwards. He said, "Who taught you to recite like that?" And the man says, "The Prophet." He says, "You're lying because he taught me different to what you're saying." So if this was true, that the Prophet allowed them to recite in a different way, that this was allowed, they had this license to substitute some words, to change some things, then why was, according to narration, which I reject anyway, why was this, why was this a problem? Why did Umar find it a problem? And why did he say to him, "You're lying"? You didn't hear this from the Prophet in this way. So no, again, I think he's making a bigger issue on this than it is. And then what happens in the narration, Umar takes him, grabs him by the scruff of his neck and takes him to the Prophet and says, "Oh, Messenger of Allah, Ya Rasulullah, I heard this person reciting the surah differently to how you taught it to me." And then the Prophet told him, release him on Umar. And he told Hisham, the guy's name was Hisham, to recite. And he recited, and he said, "Yes, you recited correctly." Right? And then he told Umar, "Now you recite." And Umar recited, and the Prophet says, "Again, you recited correctly." And then he said the famous thing, which is, this Quran has been revealed on 7 ahruf. Each, so recite whichever the one you like. But it's always been said that it's revealed on these 7 ahruf. Not that, that you can just substitute whatever you want.
مين اللي رخص لهم مثلا؟
رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم.
يعني كتب التراث تقول أن الرسول رخص لبعض الصحابة أن يقرأوا القرآن بغير أو بخلاف ما
هو مرسوم في المصحف اليوم.
Yeah, so that's what he's saying. He's saying that they were allowed to recite the Quran differently to how it's written right now in the Mus'haf. And that's just not true, I don't think, right?
وهل هذا معقول؟
النص القرآني وطبيعته لا تؤيد.
So this is what he says now. This is the weird things, right? He's saying the text of Quran itself, indeed its very nature, does not support this claim.
هذا الكلام.
Right?
هذا ادعاء
He
تراثي.
says even more. He says that it rejects it, that the Quran will not allow somebody to recite in words which are different. How? What do you mean it doesn't allow?
غير صحيح.
هذا غير صحيح. النص القرآني يأبى هذا.
So he says here the claim is correct. The Quran refuses this multiplicity in the usage of terms.
تعدد في الألفاظ. هم يقولون مثلا عبد الله بن مسعود هو صحابي جليل ومن أوائل الذين أسلموا في مكة، كان له مصحف يختلف في بعض ألفاظه عن مصحفنا اليوم. كان يقرأ مثلا كالصوف المنفوش بدلا من كالعهن المنفوش. فالقرآن لا يقبل هذا.
So yeah, he's given an example here, right? That it's narrated that Abdullah ibn Mas'ud used to recite
في مكة كان له مصحف يختلف في بعض ألفاظه عن مصحفنا اليوم. كان يقرأ مثلا كالصوف المنفوش.
That he would recite كالصوف المنفوش in Surah. See which one is on. Which surah is that? العهن المنفوش is the actual ayah. العهن المنفوش. It's one of the short surahs. وتكون الجبال كالعهن المنفوش, right? In Surah Al-Qari'ah. Surah Al-Qari'ah. So Surah number 101. So he's saying that the Mas'ud used to recite كالعهن المنفوش, on the day when the mountains will be like basically wool which has been fluffed up. العهن المنفوش. Now عهن is basically wool, and he's saying that Ibn Mas'ud used to recite كالصوف المنفوش, and صوف is just another word for wool, right? صوف, the word that Sufi comes from, because the Sufis used to wear wool, right? Woolen clothes. So Sufi is another word for wool. So he's saying that Ibn Mas'ud used to recite كالصوف المنفوش, right? Now I don't even think that's true, right?
كالعهن المنفوش.
Yeah, this is the verse.
فالقرآن لا يقبل.
Now he's saying the Quran does not accept that. He will not allow that. Why won't it allow that? Right? It doesn't give any reason. What do you mean the Quran does not accept this? How is the Quran refusing it? The Quran does not accept this.
هذا يقول بتعدد الألفاظ كبار العلماء تقريبا. يعني يقول مثلا الإمام الشافعي يقول أنه كان مأذونا للناس. أنزل الله سبحانه وتعالى على 7 أحرف رأفة بالناس أي يزل حفظهم، فأباح لهم أن يقرأوا بما لا يحيل المعنى. أنت إذا أصبت المعنى وإن قرأت بالمرادف فلا.
That's true, right? So some of the scholars did say that, right? That if you are reciting a verse, like in this case, al-suf al-manfush instead of al-lihn al-manfush, if you're reciting a verse and you recite by mistake something which is basically a synonym, then it's allowed, right? Then it's fine. It's not like you're changing the Qur'an.
جاز لك ذلك.
He's saying that there's no sin upon you for doing that, but that doesn't mean that now that is how you should always be reciting it. And they're not saying that. One of the scholars are saying that now everybody's free to keep on adding synonyms, and now from now on I'm going to keep reciting with that synonym, right? That's not the case at all, I don't think.
هكذا يقول الإمام الشافعي، وكذلك يقول الإمام أبو جعفر الطحاوي وتوفي سنة 321، يقول أيضا كانوا يقرؤون بألفاظ غير الألفاظ التي سمعوها من رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. لهذا حديث الأحرف السبعة يفسر هذا الإشكال. يعني ثابت عندهم أن القرآن كان يقرأ بألفاظ مرادفة، كلهم يجمعون على هذا إلا عالما واحدا فيما وصل إليه بحث، يقول ابن حزم الأندلسي وتوفي سنة 456 للهجرة، يقول القرآن بحروفه وكلماته وآياته هو ما أنزله الله وهو ما هو موجود في المصحف اليوم.
عارض ابن حزم.
Yeah, again, I mean, so what does Ibn Hazm mean? Well, Ibn Hazm, when he was looking at the Mus'haf in his time, which qira'ah was he looking at when he said that? That it is the same as in the Prophet's time, because yes, it is the same, but so I think maybe he's talking mostly about the skeletal, as they call the skeletal text, right? Anyway, let me have a look at the chat. He's probably in Iran coordinating Zionist attacks against his own people. Come on now. Perfect, that wasn't that bad. It's a bit pathetic how lesbian Iranians in the West are celebrating at their own country being bombed, especially if you see how a whole school of... Yeah, I mean, that was disgusting. That very first attack was on a school full of girls. And my God, the way you hear different things about it, right? Some people are saying that it was deliberately, it was done on purpose, and it doesn't seem that far-fetched to me after all of the Epstein stuff that's come out. It was done on purpose as a sacrifice, right? Because what did the Iranians do just a few weeks earlier? They had burnt an effigy of that god, what's it called, Baphomet or whatever, one of those the gods that these Epstein class are sacrificing to, right? They burnt that in Iran, right? And that god is worshipped through child sacrifice, right? And so then they go along, okay, let's, to appease that, or to get the Iranians back, they bomb a school, right? Others are saying, no, the intelligence was just bad because, that building used to be like 20 years ago a military place, or that next to it there was a building that 20 years ago was a military place. But I don't know. I don't buy that. I think it was obviously deliberate. Yeah, they're really bad. The very first thing that happens is that. Can we get back to the video?
ما قاله السابقون.
يقول طبعا في معرض الرد على النصارى، عادة النصارى أثاروا هذه الشبهات من قديم بالمناسبة، يعني أن القرآن كان الصحابة يختلفون في قراءته وفي ألفاظه وكذا، فيقول نحن وإن بلغنا الغاية في تعظيم الصحابة فلسنا ممن يقول إن هؤلاء معصومون،
يعني
يخطئهم. قال لا يعرى من الوهم والغلط والنسيان آدمي، فهو
okay. But you see, now that's now he's contradicting the thing, right? So Ibn Hazm there he's saying that the Sahaba are making mistakes, but they were still allowed to do that. They still had a license to recite differently. Or is he saying that they are just reciting differently by mistake? That's what he's saying here. It seems to be forgetfulness and stuff like that. So, in their minds, they substitute one word for another word, right? But earlier he was saying, no, this is deliberately allowed, that it was allowed, that it's not about a mistake or something, that this was a license given to them by the Messenger of Allah to do that, right? So from what he's saying here, Ibn Hazm isn't sort of exonerated from that. All right. I just wanted something I'd share quickly. If anybody doesn't check out Zuriyab's channel, there are a lot of other videos in it, which I would love to watch if I had the time. He's got a lot of translations for Hassan Farhan Maliki, for Adnan Ibrahim, and others. Now, let me just... So while we wait for anybody else to come on, I saw that Skip have put a new video out, so I'll watch that while I wait for anybody who wants to join the stream. I've been meaning to see this. It's a very interesting show they have. It's about hadith, history, and the origins of the sanctity or the sacredness of Medina.
Since the advent of Islam, the city of Medina has stood at the heart of the Islamic tradition, a place associated with the Prophet Muhammad, the early Muslim community, and the formation of Islamic religious life. But a key historical question remains: when did Medina become a sacred space? Was the city designated as such by the Prophet Muhammad himself, or did its sacred status emerge gradually through the development of Islamic tradition in the generations that followed?
Yeah, very interesting question about it. It's been, it's from the work of Dr. Saifuddin Kara, who has a lot of excellent work. He's doing some pioneering work on hadith studies, modern hadith studies, using the critical historical method and the isnad mitten analysis. Let's have a listen to that.
In this episode of the Real Talk podcast, we're joined by Dr. Saifuddin Kara to explore these questions through his research on the hadith narrations concerning the sanctification of Medina. Building on debates sparked by the work of Dr. Harry Munt, we examine how historians analyze early Islamic sources and how methods like isnad matan analysis attempt to trace traditions back to their earliest layers. And along the way, we hope to discuss broader debates about the reliability of hadith, the challenges of reconstructing the life of the Prophet, and the evolving methodology shaping the academic study of Islamic origins.
So that sounds like an excellent thing that if you guys are interested in, definitely check out. I don't know if you're aware of this channel, but it's an excellent channel, academic channel. And, this video is like 2 hours and a half. I'm actually currently reading Dr. Kara's book about the Qur'an, the Quranic preservation, Qur'an preservation.
Thank you, Dr. Kara, for joining us once again on our platform.
Thank you very much, Tyrone and Roxana. It's my pleasure, and it's an honor to be with you. And I look forward to this very interesting discussion. I've seen your questions. Again, it's very erudite, very thorough. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this very exciting conversation with you.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to this conversation as well, especially considering that we've had Dr. Munt on for his book that you engaged with in your article. So to get right to it, despite highlighting that Dr. Munt draws on a range of primary and secondary textual and archaeological sources spanning the pre-Islamic and early Islamic period to develop his argument in his book, The Holy City of Medina, that the sanctification of the city was a gradual process, your critique of his book centers on the depth and consistency of his engagement with the available sources on the subject. In Zadeh Atram's review of the book, she argued that Munt's use of sources left very few stones unturned. However, you clearly disagree. What gaps, inconsistencies, and biases did you detect in his epistemology?
First of all, I must say that the book is an excellent scholarly output. And
before we get to that, there's a very interesting other channel now. I've actually wanted to actually translate some of these videos. Let me just show them to you now, and then we'll get back to this. But this channel, hold on, let me bring it. Share a different tab. This channel here, it's called Nawadir al-Athar wal-Nuqush al-Madina al-Munawwara, right? Rare, sort of like Athar, archaeological things and inscriptions from Medina Munawwara, right? And it's basically this amateur person, lives in Medina, and every week usually he gets in his car, goes out on the outskirts of Medina into like the mountain areas, and he looks for rock inscriptions, and there are a huge number. There are a huge number all around Medina. Some either written by some of the companions, or the children of the companions, or their grandchildren, or things like this, right? There was a very interesting one. So this one here, for example, this is one which was done by Zayd bin Hassan bin Ali. So Ali ibn Abi Talib's grandson, right, through his son Hassan, right? And it's
you work hard for your money. Now let it work for you.
The ads.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نحن الآن نشرف على منزل كان يحب أن ينزله زيد وكان يتولى صدقات النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بمديحه. So he used to be the collector for the charity that was distributed to the family of the Prophet in Medina. ويعجبون من عظم خلقه ويقولون جده هذا نقش في الإيمان بالله تعالى. يقول فيه وهنا نقش آخر اللهم صل على زيد ابن حسن أنت وملائكتك المقربون.
So this one says, oh Allah, salli, send your salawat, durud as some call it, upon Zayd, on himself. Basically he's asking Allah, send your salawat on me, and forgive me, etc. You see?
أنت وملائكتك المقربون. نقش آخر اللهم صل على زيد
والله صلي على زيد son of Hassan, you and your close angels. Oh Allah, Ameen. Right? And this is a very beautiful inscription, right, in Medina. And again, this has basically been done by the great grandson of the Prophet through Fatima.
وهذا هو نقش زيد ابن الحسن رضي الله تعالى عنه. يقول فيه آمن زيد ابن حسن بالله وحده لا شريك له.
آمن زيد ابن حسن بالله وحده لا شريك له. Zayd, the son of Hassan, has believed or has faith in God alone, without any partner. وحده لا شريك له.
وشهد أن لا إله إلا الله
and he testifies that there is no God but Allah,
وحده وأن محمدا عبده ورسوله
and that Muhammad is his servant and messenger.
على ذلك يحيى ما حي وعليه يموت إذا مات
Let him upon that live as he lives, and let him die upon that when he dies.
ويسأل الله
And he asks
أن
Allah
يقربه من محمد في الآخرة
that he brings him closer to Muhammad in the Akhirah,
كما قربه منه في الدنيا
as he brought him, close to him in the dunya, right, by being, his great grandson Fatima,
وأن يجعله من أحباه
and that he makes him from those who are beloved to God,
وأصفياه ونجب
and his elect ones and his pure ones.
اللهم بارك لنا في منزلنا هذا
Oh Allah, bless us in our home, in this home of ours,
وادرأ عنا شره وشر
and keep away from us its evil
كل ذي شر
and the evil of anybody who possesses evil,
وارددنا إليه مرا كثيرا
and let us return to it many, many times.
رضي الله تعالى عنه.
Okay, so a very beautiful thing. But anyway, the point is that this channel has a lot of inscriptions that this person has documented all around, right, all around Medina, and he's done some fantastic work. There's some very, very early ones as well, which even include the dates on them, like 12 Hijrah, 17 Hijrah, these sort of times. So very interesting. It'd be great to see them. I hope these messages are legit and haven't been altered. I think the messages often contain threats for curses for those who auto-invent the message. Yeah, and there are some which are like this, right? And there's some. I've read some very vulgar ones, right? So there was somebody who wrote a naqsh, and by the way, the interesting thing about these nuqush is that they self-describe themselves as kitab, as books, right? You know how we often call this a kitab. So at the end of it, somebody would write this inscription and say, "Kataba hadha al-kitab." So and so wrote this book. Okay, to translate it almost literally, on this date or this person, or he'd name himself. Kataba hadha al-kitab Amr ibn whoever. Amr, son of whoever, wrote this book, right? And the idea, of course, is that even though we tend to think of kitab as book, it doesn't mean that. It just means a piece of writing. It could be even an inscription. An inscription can mean that. So there's one person who wrote an inscription, and then somebody came along and apparently seemed to like erase it. And then he came back later and saw that somebody erased it, and he inscribed underneath that something very vulgar, basically saying, "May the penis of a donkey in the mother of whoever erased my inscription," making it like a kind of a curse or dua against, just cursing basically. But yeah, you have that. But no, they are legit. There's so many have been discovered. And they can be dated pretty easily. I think. I mean, it's not that difficult to date. And these rock inscriptions, if you need to. But there are literally hundreds all around, because that's what people. It became sort of like, I suppose, a fad at the time to do it, and it was being done before Islam, right? During Islam and after Islam as well, right? So they are legit. It would just be good if there were more. I mean, we'd probably have a lot more around Mecca if what happened to Mecca hadn't happened to it, basically. Let's go back to these guys.
Month is a great.
So let's go back. What was he actually asking?
Month's use of sources left very few stones unturned. However, you clearly disagree. What gaps, inconsistencies, and biases did you detect in his epistemology?
First of all, I must say that the book is an excellent scholarly output. And Mont is a great scholar, and he's done his work very well. But of course, we are not perfect, and we always need some kind of a maybe critical look to maybe revise our conclusion. So I read the book. I think that I should start with, there was a conference, I think 5-6 years ago. I was invited in Germany, and that's when I read the book, and I just couldn't point out in the first time I read the chapters, and there was something wrong with it, and I couldn't tell it what it was. So that prompted me to go and study the relevant traditions, hadith, to verify if his arguments or his study is justifiable. So my criticism and my evaluation of the book is not the content itself. I think it's bringing all those different sources. It's very thorough, looking at every aspect. But I think his approach to hadith and his premises to study of hadith creates a fundamental flaw for the book, because in order to promote, or in order to establish his arguments, he needs to tackle with the hadith, because hadith is arguing or providing contrary evidence. And my primary criticism is his dealing with the hadith, because I consider, and there are some scholars consider hadith as a historical source. So this treatment of hadith at this junction becomes a problematic, depending on what perspective or what methodology scholars adopt.
Okay.
One's approach to sources reflect wider trends in Islam.
Treatment of hadith at this junction becomes a problematic, depending on what perspective or what methodology scholars adopt.
And to what extent does Munt's approach to sources reflect wider trends in Islamic studies as a field? Is his work operating within a dominant critical paradigm, and is this paradigm becoming increasingly open to nuance and contestation, in your view?
Yes, I think this is a dominant. As far as hadith is concerned, I think Munt is, or his work on this Medina, it represents the mainstream, dominant, not maybe the right word, dominant approach to hadith. There has been always skepticism towards hadith since probably Shaht, when he came up with this projecting back theory. And since then, of course, we had the Motsky, we had the Scholler, we had some other great Yumbol like scholars. Even Yumbol wasn't that radical in his approach to hadith. He accepted on some occasions hadith could be a historical source, but then of course we have generations of scholars who, I quote from Munt as well, they are trained based on the assumption that this hadith and some other Muslim sources are not reflecting what happened, but reflecting the later scholars' ideas or expectations of the past. So this approach has been, unfortunately, a dominant view, but it doesn't mean necessarily it's the right view, because again, we have these major debates between Motsky and the Yumbol and other scholars, Cook, and they've discussed actually many aspects of this discussion. And one thing has become very clear, very transparent to me upon studying for probably past 15 years hadith, that none of those arguments that criticize or that are skeptical of hadith, such as widespread forgery, is not proven. None of them is proven. There is no historical evidence or proof that Muslims deliberately forged the hadith, the hadith corpus. There are some anecdotes. There's one, for example, Motsky is debating with Cook. Cook is using an anecdote to make an argument, and lots of debates between Yumbol and Motsky, and Shaht. Motsky takes on Shaht, but everything comes down to the notion that it's not proven, this widespread forgery or this skepticism of hadith is.
By the way, the other sort of like academic scholar working on hadith the most I see is Joshua Little. He's the one who did the PhD work on the hadith of Aisha, showing that it is not historical, the one about the marriage age of Aisha, right? And it's very well done. He says, right, that not only are hadith unreliable, but they are uniquely unreliable. Like if you were to look at all of the features that would make reports or historical reports unreliable, hadiths have every one of them dialed up to 9, right? And so they're very, very uniquely unreliable, right? So that's his take on that, and I think it's very valid.
Established fact, but it's just about theory.
But of course, he doesn't. He also Joshua Little also doesn't subscribe to this idea of there was just this widespread, deliberate forgery, right?
And hypothesis. This is what actually Shah, this is what Mosky talks about Shah. What he did and what Cook did was to just mention ways that Muslim scholars could have forged it. They haven't proven it. Actually, I think I'm the only one who proved that certain hadiths were forged, like the second part of my book on in the integrity of the Quran, which I actually factually proved there.
Yeah, that's the verse, the book that I'm reading, right? The integrity of the Quran. And he does an amazing job in that book. It's a very technical book, very technical study of clusters of hadiths, right? About the integrity of the Quran, basically about the verses of the hadith about a goat eating a part of the Quran which had not been written yet, right? About the stoning verse, etc.
This is how it happened. They took one hadith from the Sunni sources and then they forged the chain of transmission back into the Imams, and then they play with the text. And this is interpolations, and this is how we should be proving that hadith is fabrication rather than just
and I definitely agree with that, because he really did prove that the hadith is a fabrication, right? I mean, not through any religious ideas like we would do, right? We would do it based on just the idea that the integrity of the Quran, by seeing the Quran as something contradicting the Quran, we would say it's a forgery, right? No, he proved it in a very scientific, academic way, right? He showed how it was happening, right? Showed exactly step by step how the hadith was forged, right? Step by step.
Just coming up with these general premises, general allegations.
We're going to, as later in the interview, we're going to focus directly on, the back and forth in that debate in terms of verification models for hadith.
Yes.
But to return to Munt's specific use of sources, you challenge Munt's citing of debates among the 10th and 11th century Hanafi jurists, which he uses to bolster his argument that Medina's status as a religious haram remained unclear even at the period of the 10th and 11th century. Why do you believe that debates recorded in jurisprudential sources cannot adequately function as supportive evidence when engaging in historical investigation of Islamic origins, like really early Islamic origins? But why do you think hadith can do that, can provide evidence that those jurisprudential debates cannot?
Yeah, so what Munt does, one of his arguments is he's referring Abu Yusuf's position, one of the prominent students of Abu Hanifa, not Abu Hanifa himself, actually. This is the opinion of Abu Yusuf. And he's questioning, I think, if I remember correctly, I read the book a very long time ago, questioning the sanctification of Medina. So this is one opinion among probably thousands and thousands of scholars and many different, hundreds of different legal schools. Of course, Hanafism is one of the surviving ones. We have lots of different legal schools in the Sunni legal tradition. So first of all, it's just one of the scholars' opinion. And what I was arguing in the article is that the jurists have different priorities. They are trying to understand what God means or what God wants from people. So it's not necessarily they have no, of course, they want to find out if the Prophet said something or not. But even if Prophet said something, they have maybe other tools or other evidences to interpret it differently, because their priority is not to understand what happened. That's not their question. What really happened? That's the historical question. That's what historians are after. But they are after what God wants from people. So therefore, their selection of evidence and selection of the text could be very different from the historians, and it could be very different from the way that historians think. And they have assumptions. They have some of them, they use qiyas, especially the Hanafi school use qiyas, and rather than using hadith, they try to more use rational arguments. And of course, in the Quran, they try to, they can't find it there. So, but this doesn't make it strong argument for an historical inquiry. So that was my point.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
Unlike the Haram in Mecca, which is established as a sacred space by Abraham in the Quran and is also identified as a site of pilgrimage, there is no Quranic recognition or mention of a second Haram, and no parallel Quranic description of the religious sanctification of Medina. Does this scriptural absence not demonstrate that at least maybe the theological dimension of the designation of Medina as a sacred space was post-Quranic and thus post-prophetic, as Munt alleges, if we're using the Quran as a historical source?
I think actually it works the other way around, because I'll just read you the verse in the Quran. So what Ibrahim asked from God is to make this city secure and safe city, which is Mecca. So what the Quran gives the impression that prophets have this kind of authority, this kind of power to sanctify where they are operate, where they are have something like this is again ancient Near Eastern tradition, where cities were sanctified because of their perceived holiness or interaction with God, whatever God appeared, they believe that they manifested God one way or another way, manifested themselves. So God manifested himself, then that city is considered, that area is considered sacred. So coming back to the Quran, so there's kind of a precedent in the Quran that because Ibrahim did it, and where he built Kaaba, which his temporary location. So then why wouldn't Prophet sanctify his operation, area of operation, or city of operation, or his headquarters? So I think.
Well, makes sense, I suppose. I mean, but does that happen with the? I mean, the thing about it in the Ibrahim doesn't ask to make it into a haram, though, does he? Right? He doesn't say he says bless it, let its people gain some of its fruits, etc. in the Quran. It doesn't say that it became a haram because of Ibrahim, right? And of course the site of the sacred house was already there, right? So Allah showed Ibrahim where the Kaaba was, and him and Ismail both raised it up from its foundations. The foundations were already there. With Nuri Ibrahim al-Qawa'id min al-Bayt, and when we showed Ibrahim the foundations of the house, so Allah brought Ibrahim down to Mecca. So I don't know. It seems to me that it was already sanctified before Ibrahim, not that Ibrahim sanctified Mecca. So I'm not sure about that argument. Interesting, though.
I think this is something is actually
also the same thing with the promised lands, right? For Ben Israel and the Temple Mount and all of that, right? So they were taken out to the land Lati Barakna Fiha, that we blessed, right? And Ben Israel were taken to the land that Allah blessed. He didn't bless it because of Banu Israel or because of the prophets.
There's another group of traditions in which the Prophet states that since Abraham has sanctified Mecca, I am sanctifying Medina. So we have, I think, 9 or 10 traditions. And I analyzed this in forthcoming article. We use AI tools to actually first time the semantic analysis of the text, and we look at the similarity scores. And then, so first time we are integrating actually I don't want to use AI because it gets too common, because nowadays everybody's using AI, but large language models is actually a type of AI to analyze the text. So this is one step for us, and then next step we'll use it with the chain of transmission and try to implement at least the primary study of the hadith through this model. But coming back to your question, so the Prophet actually makes this claim based on hadith, another group of hadith, that he's imitating Abraham by sanctifying Medina. And so therefore, I don't see it as a problem. I mean, of course, as I said, from the theological point of view, it's actually proving the sanctification of Medina by the Prophet, because if something is in the Quran for Muslims, theologically it's a precedent, and then the other prophets can sanctify their area of operation. But I have actually, after writing this article, I was reading, when I was working on the second article, I came up with Kister's article. He's a great scholar of hadith. And actually, this is Encyclopedia of Islam. He notes that even Musaylama is the arch enemy of the Prophet. So he sanctified his area.
Bigging him up a bit, aren't we there? The arch enemy of the Prophet. He was only an issue in the last year of the Prophet's life, not even the last year, just a little bit before that, right? So Musaylama is a very late comer. It wasn't the arch enemy of the Prophet.
Area of operation when he declared his prophethood. So this is sanctified. He notes that even Musaylama is the arch enemy of the Prophet. So he sanctified his area of operation when he declared his prophethood. So this is, you can't say that. I mean, okay, Muslims projected, let's assume Muslims projected back their understanding of history back to the Prophet, or it must have been sanctified, the city of Medina, and then they created those reports about the Prophet sanctifying Medina. But then what about Musaylama? I mean, he was the arch enemy of the Muslims who fought against the Muslims, who was against the Prophet, and later on who fought against Muslims, who created actually, I think, one of the biggest threats against Muslims. So they wouldn't project back same kind of tradition and culture or practice to him. So I think we have plenty of evidence that it is not a projection back. It's not projecting back. It's, I think, more it should be understood from the framework of ancient custom of Middle East and Near Eastern culture, that they make a connection between the location and sacred and their perceived prophethood. So I think this is a much longer than the birth of Islam or the Prophet's tradition of sanctification.
Interesting. But I mean, that first question that Roxana asked is a good one, right? Why is there nothing in the Quran about Medina being sanctified? I mean, he's sort of like trying to get out of that by saying, no, the Prophet did it. Well, I mean, it still could have been done in the Quran, right? The Prophet was in Medina for 10 years, right? Even if we say that he's sanctified Medina in the last year of his life, right? Well, that could have come in the Quran, right? It could have come in there. Just like in the very last year of the Prophet's life, there were still laws coming. Like the rule about not hunting while in ihram, while going to Hajj, not allowed to hunt live game. That came. So what would be the issue of a verse coming down to say that Medina is sanctified? The closest verse I can think about is the verse which says that it isn't for the people of Medina, nor for the Bedouins surrounding Medina, to stay back when يتخلفوا عن رسول الله, that they should stay back when the Messenger of Allah is going out for a battle or for a ghazwa. No, that they should be with him, basically. Not to stay behind during wartime.
How to articulate thoughts into words more clearly. All it takes is...
I remember TV never used to have this many ads, right? 19 minutes. I don't know how many ads have we had already, 5 or something. What? We used to watch TV a long time ago, before the days of the internet and YouTube and things, and you'd have an ad, an ITV and Channel 4. Have an ad, every half an hour. And on state TV, there would be no ads.
In terms of location, in the narrations about the Prophet's sanctification of Medina, a variety of divergent toponyms are used to designate the haram's boundaries, with some even alluding to boundaries without specifying them. Mutt points to this range of markings as evidence that the haram's boundaries were altered several times over the period of nearly 2 centuries between...
All right, let's pause there. We actually have somebody who's coming on. Sayyid, Assalamu alaikum. I'm going to bring you on. Assalamu alaikum. Alaikum assalam. Sayyid, Professor of... I can't see the rest of your username there.
Brother, I told you about the books I was writing.
Yes.
I'm writing another book. I'll give you the name. It's about Bukhari Satanic Hadith.
Bukhari Shaitanic Hadith.
Yes, yeah.
Is that its name?
What's that?
That's the name, the title of the book?
Yes. Bukhari Satanic Hadith.
Is it out yet or still?
What's that?
Have you released it or still not?
No. I'm almost finished. The beginning of articles, I write all those articles, and I write an article about the Bibi Aisha. She never have any hadith. Okay, they just gave her name and wrote down their own hadiths and name Bibi Aisha. Okay. So I'm writing many contradictions about the hadiths, and I make a lot of articles. My books almost it's complete. It's only thing is left is the hadiths, which is agent the Prophet Muhammad and the Bibi Aisha. The Bukhari portrayed Bibi Aisha. The Aisha as a mentally ill girl. She has yes. That's how he portrayed in one hadith. I'll give you an example of the hadith. There is a hadith about the Aisha. She said herself she was cleaning the Prophet cloth by her finger. Nail. By nail. The semen. The Prophet semen was on the Prophet cloth. She was cleaning with her nails. So this is the only a mentally ill person could clean. This is the Bukhari said it.
Only a mentally ill person would do that way, yeah?
Yeah. So Bukhari said that Bibi Aisha is a mentally ill girl. Another hadith, Prophet Muhammad, the Bukhari said he was a dirty man. He drink water from a dirty dirty well. The well contain dead dog and menstruation cloth and the potty is in the well, and Prophet drink it. He made a wuzu from that well. That's what he said about the Prophet Muhammad is a dirty man. He used to be a dirty person. That's how he betrayed Prophet Muhammad. I don't believe this hadith says somebody gave it to him. Even somebody give it to him, this you don't take this kind of stuff. You cannot. You have questioned this thing. How can a man considered to be a prophet, and he drinking water from a well? Even Bukhari will not drink those water from those well, and he accepted those kind of hadiths. I think he was a satanic man. First of all, I'll give you the one verses from the Quran. This is 22:52. Okay, Allah said in the Quran, "Never did we send a messenger or a prophet before you, but when he did recite the revelation of narrated to speak, Satan threw some falsehood in it, but Allah abolished the which Satan threw in. Then Allah established his revelation, and Allah is all-knowing, all-wise." So this verses is saying Allah, whenever Allah send a prophet, and the Satan tried to throw some falsehood in it, the revelation, and this happened with the Prophet Muhammad too. The satanic verses, the satanic verses, I think those are true verses about the Manat, Uzza, the three daughters. I think those are Prophet did receive from Satan. And there is a lot of warning to Prophet, okay, about this. So it's proof every time Allah sent Prophet, Satan tried to put some of his own idea in the revelation. So it's happened to Prophet Muhammad, Prophet Abraham, every prophet, it's happened to them. Every single prophet. The Satan tried to put some words in the revelation. So this is my first start with these verses in the Quran. So who's the Bukhari? Don't you think Satan tried Bukhari to put some kind of falsehood in his hadith collection? Sure, he did. When the Prophet has Allah protection, okay, Bukhari does not have Allah protection. Whatever Satan want to put in hadith, he could have done lot of things. So I made a very good books and about the Bibi Aisha never have her own hadith. This is just they use her name and say thing. She look like she's a stupid person. A prophet look like a dirty man who drink water from a sewage water. He making wuzu from a sewage water. I mean, if somebody come to you and say Prophet Muhammad is drinking from a sewage water, you will not believe that. You're gonna kick that person whoever said that. So he just writing whatever people are giving to him, or he himself making things up about the Prophet. Maybe I think his main purpose was to destroy Islam, mislead people. I think that's what his main purpose was, the hadith. So I'm the ending. I have all kind of articles. I will send to you, and you read it. I want you to be my co-author of my book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll have a look at it. I mean.
I will send to you file. You give me the email over here. I will send you the file.
Sure. Let me put it in the chat.
Yeah.
That's a very long email. It's basically in search of the Qur'anic Islam at gmail.com.
Oh, could you put it in the private chat?
Yeah. I'll put it in the main chat, but yes, I can put it in the
Okay,
private
okay.
one too if you want. But it's there in the main one.
Oh, in search of the truth Quranic Islam.
Of the Qur'anic Islam, that's it, yes. Of
Okay.
the,
Oh, I made a lot of articles. You will be amazed how much I work.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another thing, my whole book based on AI. I'm not writing
Really?
myself.
Mm,
Okay.
okay.
I'm not an educated person, but I make AI to write for me. You know, you have to give AI direction what you want. You know, all those
Yeah.
things you have to done. AI does not work by themselves. You know,
Yeah.
you have to make AI to work for you. You are just AI is like a assistant. When
Yeah.
you tell as you dictate assistant will write it down, and whatever search needed them to, they will search it and they make articles. So that's what AI does for me. So,
All right. Okay. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Said,
yeah.
Professor.
So you agree to be co-author, brother?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be happy to try and help with it. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, I'll just email me and we'll discuss it there.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
No problem. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
All right. That was Said. Oh yeah, refinement. Yes, you know, I do need to do this. I did have a Telegram group, but I lost that number. I need to actually try to get it back. I don't know if I can get the exact, Telegram back. Maybe I'll try to do this actually as tomorrow, because I have some time now. Maybe I'll try to actually do this tomorrow and try to recover my old Telegram account. If not, I'll just create a new one and I'll post it in the community posts. Right, I'll post the link in the community post for anybody who wants to join, the Telegram group. I'll try to do that. Right, I think Telegram has been upgraded and has more features now, so I'll definitely try to look at that. All right, okay. So time, how long is it going on? So 1 hour a bit. Let's just listen to this next couple of questions, and if nobody else comes on, we'll call it an evening for now. So let's see, what was he asking?
Muhammad's death and the earliest of the
case of Middle East and Near Eastern culture, that they make a connection between the location and sacred and their perceived prophethood. So I think this is a much longer than the birth of Islam or the prophetess tradition of sanctification.
Yeah, okay. So basically he's making the argument that there's already an idea of sanctifying areas based on what has happened to them. And, you know, I find that that's a pretty acceptable idea, especially when it comes to, like the Safa and Marwa in the Quran, right? So, you know, يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الصَّفَا, then when they it wasn't really asked the Quran, but they were asked about the Safa and Marwa, and is it permissible to do tawaf around them, right? And the Quran basically says, "Inna Safa and Marwa min sha'a'irillah," right? Safa and Marwa are from the sha'air, the symbols of Allah, right? So whoever does tawaf around them, right? Whoever goes for Hajj or Umrah and does tawaf, between them, then there's no blame on them, right? And whoever is, performs acts of shukr, of gratitude, then Allah is appreciative of that, right? And the idea of that is that it's among the sha'ir of Allah. When it comes to the sha'ir of Allah, like the Kaaba, I mean, I think I mentioned this, I don't know if it was last time or the time before that, somebody asked my opinion on the Kaaba, and I think, it's from the sha'ir of Allah, right, from the symbols of Allah. And the Quran talks about whoever honors or extols. وَمَنْ يَعَظِّمْ شَعَائِرَ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّهَا مِنْ تَقْوَى الْقُلُوبِ. Whoever extols or magnifies the symbols of Allah, then it's from the taqwa of the hearts. But it's born out of the taqwa of the hearts. And Safa and Marwa, of course, why they are from the Sha'ir of Allah? Why these two random like little hills in Mecca? Why are they from the Sha'ir of Allah? What's got nothing to do with them on themselves? It's got to do with what happened there, right? Of the story of Hajar and Ismail, right? The Hajar, the mother of Ismail, was running between them looking for help, right? And even the word that they're being called, we're translated as symbols of Allah, but the Arabic word is Sha'air Allah, right? Sha'air comes from, if you could translate it literally as, the feelings, right? Like mashair, right? Mashair are your feelings. A poet, sha'ir, right? It's called the sha'ir because he feels, right? You can even feel a hair. Sha'aratun is a hair, right? Just a hair. You can feel a hair. You have that sensitivity to even feel a hair, landing on your skin, right? So that's the idea. That's about feeling. So the sha'air of Allah are the things which make you, feel closer to Allah, feel the presence of Allah, right? And that can be done by areas or places in which the things of Allah happened, right? Messengers acted, messengers did things, right? Things happened, right? So these areas can become Sha'air of Allah. These places, they can become places where they evoke the remembrance of God, right? And so to honor them, to magnify them, is from the taqwa of the heart, right? So that's what I would say there. We have Dragon Light. Let's bring you on. Assalamu alaikum. Yo.
Hello? I can hear you.
Yes. I can hear you. Yes. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Excellent. How have you been?
I'm good, bro. Anyways, I had a question. I remember sending you the question, but then you forgot. I clarified what I meant.
Where was it? Where did you send it?
It was in Reddit, yes.
Reddit, yeah? All right, go ahead.
Yeah.
What was it? Right, yes. Yeah, I think that was it. Yes, I was asking again. What did you mean about that, yeah? What was it?
Yeah, it says the injury had befallen them.
Yeah, the thing about the injury. من بعد ما أصابهم القرح, right?
Yeah.
That verse.
And that was it.
Yeah, so you're asking about why is it plural or something, right?
Yeah.
So what was the actual issue about it? Let me actually bring it up on the screen. أصابهم القرح. Al-Qarh, right? So it's in Al Imran 172.
Yeah.
172. الذين استجابوا لله وللرسول من بعد ما أصابهم القرح. Stop sharing this and share the other one. So this, right? So your question is why is it in the plural? Which part was? So you're saying why is the part after the injury? Part after,
why is it affecting both?
Why is this part in plural?
No, I want to know why is it saying when it affected them, affected God.
Okay. Yeah. So this is, it's basically, this is about the Uhud, right?
Yeah.
Right, Uhud, right? So the injury that affected them is what's basically mentioned in the previous verses, which what happened, right? Which is the martyrs. So some were killed, quite a few of them were killed, right?
Yeah.
And so an army, when you're talking about basically an army and some of the members are killed, that's sort of like the injury, right? So it's saying that those who responded to Allah and to the Messenger after injury had befallen them. Right, so basically, the Muslims were pretty much defeated in the.
I kind of misread that. I don't know why, but I misread it. I thought it said
what?
God and messenger were the ones who got harmed.
No,
not them, not.
Yeah, no, it's them. It's talking about those who were harmed. So during the Battle of Uhud, quite a bit of harm, struck the Prophet's
Yeah, I know.
army.
I read that.
Basically,
I read it fully, but I just did not realize that it was
yeah,
talking about the people who
yeah. So
actually answered.
yeah. So it was basically the Prophet tried to rally them afterwards. So after everybody, the army was sort of like almost defeated, the Prophet tried to rally them back, call them back to himself, right?
Yeah.
To get them together again, right? And so
Yeah.
it's talking about those who responded to that.
Yeah.
Who responded to God and His Messenger after, this qarh, this injury had befallen them.
Yeah.
To those of them who are good and had taqwa, for them is a great reward. Yeah, so that's basically all it's about.
I have no clue why I didn't notice that when I read it like 4 times.
Yeah, it happens, right? And so it even says the next part, الذين قال لهم الناس إن الناس قد جمعوا لكم فاخشوهم, right? Those who then even afterwards, so even after this qarh, after this defeat had happened, right? Others tried to scare them and tell them, everybody is now joined to come and destroy you, right?
Yeah.
And what did they say? They said, God is sufficient for us, and Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel, and He's the best person to rely on, the best one to rely on, right? So it was a stance of faith, really stance of faith, that even after the defeat on the Battle of Uhud, those who responded to the messenger were able to still say yes, even if everybody is coming
against
us, God is sufficient for us, and upon Him do we rely.
That's actually good. Actually, I had another question, and I kept like seeing it for some reason. But I was talking about the story of Pharaoh and how they talked about like there's one time where it said the Pharaoh said it, and the other one it's his like elites who said it. Do you know what I'm talking about, or do you want me to get the references?
Yeah, give me the reference, but yes, I know there's a number of verses where it's talking about Pharaoh and his mala, his sort of like high council, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the high council, the people around him.
Let me just search it up. Okay, so it's one of it is 7109. So like the
7109.
And the other, let me find it. The other one is 2634.
Yeah, so in this one, قال الملأ من قوم فرعون إن هذا لساحر عليم, right?
Yeah.
The council around him said that this is, surely a clever magician. So you're asking about why sometimes it's saying that it's the council around him, and sometimes it's saying Fir'aun.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the one where it's saying the Mala, right? And what's the other one where it's Fir'aun? I mean, it's there's other ones where it would say it's Fir'aun. What's the other reference?
It's the other one. Yeah, it was called Fir'aun.
Yeah, what's the reference for the other one?
The other one is 7109.
Yeah, that's the one with Al-Mala. What about the one where it's just Fir'aun saying it?
It's Fir'aun 2634.
2634, Surah Ash-Shu'ara. Yeah, قال للملأ حوله إن هذا لساحر عليم. Right, so this one where he said to those around him that this is a knowledgeable, sahir. I don't know, to be honest, this is the first time I've actually noticed that, but you're right. In one of them, it's saying where he's basically saying to the mala around him, وَنَزَعَ يَدَهُ فَإِذَا هِيَ بَيْضَاءُ لِلنَّاظِرِينَ. So this is after the whole showing his hand, and the
one of them goes in deeper detail. Like one of them talks about the eminent one, like the elite. It goes into detail more, but so I assume that's why it mentions them saying it.
Yeah, no, I mean it could be just they both said it to each other, but it seems like this is in this case here, this is when Fir'aun says, basically Musa says to Fir'aun, even if I come to you with a clear sign, even if I come to you with something convincing and clear, and Fir'aun says, well, then bring it if you have it, right?
Yeah.
And so Musa then throws his stick and it becomes a serpent, takes out, pulls out, brings his hand out, right? Brings forth his hand and it's bright and shining, right?
Yeah.
And then he, on the back of that, says to those around him, his council around him, truly this is a sahirun alim. It's a very good magician, clever magician, knowledgeable magician. He wants to expel you from your land. So what do you say? What do you say we should do? Right. So this is and it seems like from this
it
verse,
picks up,
it
picks it up basically.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that he says that, so it seems that Fir'aun is saying this first, right?
Yeah.
Now imagine what usually happens is when you have a monarch, especially who's a tyrant, when he says something, the Mala sort of will copy it, right? Will like to say it back to him, sort of confirm to him, yeah, you're right, he is a clever magician, whatever the king says, you're going to have the lackeys around him, which will repeat it back to him, right? So that's how I would read it. Why is it that in that one it's Fir'aun saying it, and now in this verse, it is the Mala saying it, right?
Yeah, for some reason I forgot Fir'aun actually said what do you command after. That makes it connect basically. Because he said, what do you command?
Yeah, so on this one, قال إن كنت جئت بها. So it is almost the same structure, right?
Yeah.
So here this is in Surah 7, it says, قال إن كنت جئت بآية فأت بها إن كنت من الصادقين. If you have brought a sign, then bring it if you are among the truthful. And so the same thing, فألقى عصاه فإذا هي ثعبان مبين. So he threw down his staff, so it became a serpent. ونزع يده فإذا هي بيضاء للناظرين. Then he brought forth his hand, so it's now bright for the only white onlookers. قال الملأ من قوم فرعون إن هذا لساحر عليم. Right.
Yeah.
And then so now those around Fir'aun.
Yeah, it's not a sequence because it doesn't say فقال, it just says قال.
Yeah, it says قال الملأ من قومه. So in this case it says the Mala from the people, from Fir'aun's people, said this is a thing. So the only difference here in terms of the Mala is here saying قال الملأ من قوم فرعون, from Fir'aun's people, whereas in the other one it's Fir'aun said to the Mala who are around him.
Yeah.
Right? قال لمن حوله من الملأ, قال لمن حوله. Let's bring it back. Where was it?
Makes a lot of sense now, bro.
Yeah, where is it? Previous. قال لمن حوله. So here it's saying he said to the Mala who were around him, right? So it seems like that's how I would look at it. It's a case of the council, just mimicking and confirming the monarch, right? Yeah, the monarch, doing what
I think that's how the stories work. I don't think they're exact in the Quran. I think it's because it's it's being told. It's not the exact story.
Yeah. I mean, they worked from different angles, right? They work from this angle, but it's a very interesting thing because I never actually thought, noticed that, right? Sometimes what's mentioned is that Fir'aun is saying that, accusing Musa of being a magician, and in the other one, it goes into them saying that he's a magician, right?
Yep.
So it's a very interesting sort of symmetry.
I've been reading a lot. That's why I've been noticing it.
Yeah, noticing these things makes sense. Yes. So I mean that's how I would look at it. I mean, you could look at it and say there's a contradiction here. That who is the one who says this first? But it's not like
story.
It's not a difficult thing to reconcile.
It's not a sequence. Like if it was a sequence, sure, but it's not a sequence. If it said,
I mean, within each story, it is a sequence, right? But you're right.
No, but it's not the direct sequence. Like when he said, they said.
Exactly. It's not a direct sequence, right? It's not direct sequence. They said, and then they said. It's not what every single person says, right? It's not given that way, right? But it's very interesting that in one of them it's mentioned that he's the one who says it, and the other one it's mentioned that they say it. That's a very interesting thing to think about when you just consider that this is how it's always is with those who are around the. Do you remember when who was it? When you had the White House spokesman, the there was that annoying one. What's his name? Well, now you have that blonde woman, right?
Oh.
The White House spokeswoman. She comes out and basically says that this is what Trump says, this is what he said, this is right, and they just defend whatever Trump says, right? And the same thing you had before, right, with the other guy, the one who
hasn't
was
changed
Biden.
much.
The other one who was under Biden, during the whole of the time of the Gaza war and these things, they just completely towing the line. They're towing the line. But then, of course, afterwards, when he's left that job, right? I saw a couple of interviews with him where he's just basically saying, I just said what I was supposed to say. Right? And he was much more candid, saying that basically that this was, it was Israel that was pushing for this and for that and that. By the time, of course, I just had to, it was my job. I was just doing my job. Right. But it's what happens. You have the elites around the tyrant or the king. They would not be there if they were not yes men. They would not be there if they were not going to repeat
work,
what
kind
he
of.
says. Yeah, that's just how it works.
I mean, you can even read after a bit. He says, let me pull it up. He says something to the magicians. He said, I told them that he'll crucify them because because they believed before I gave him permission.
Yeah, before you gave me permission, exactly. Right? He says, do you have faith in him before I give you permission?
Yeah.
He's your big boy magician. He's your teacher. He's your elder.
Yep.
كبيركم الذي علمكم السحر. He's your elder who taught you sihr. Interesting.
I actually like how Sam Garen's he actually adds cross references. I don't really like listening to his explanations that much, but the fact that he adds cross references makes it easy, so I could just go whenever one thing is mentioned.
Yeah, I need to actually try and I mean, haven't read his translation, but I would like to have a look at it. I remember the only translation of the Quran which I actually read almost fully was the Abdullah Yusuf Ali, and that has a lot of cross references, right? Abdullah Yusuf Ali with the footnote explanations, they would have a lot of cross references, right? So each time, I'd read the explanation thing at the bottom. I would check out the references that he would mention. That was time ago.
Yeah, he when you under the sorcerer, the word sorcerer, he gives it the note to Surah Al-Baqarah.
What does he say about it?
He links it back to what sorcerer means. Not like he's not talking about the two instances of Roundstead and the Malasad. He just links it to 2102, the word sorcerer.
Okay. Okay, interesting.
How much have you read this Ramadan, bro?
Of what?
Of the Quran.
Oh no, I'm doing the Khatim, right? So
yeah, I'm doing it as well. I'm on chapter 9. Surah 9.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm on. I forget what it is, but what day are we in Ramadan right now?
We're 7 days away from it ending.
Yeah, we're like in 23 or something. So I'm on 20. Actually, I have my WhatsApp here.
18. Yeah. Well, no, it ends 18.
So I'm on the 23rd juz. So we
I'm not doing it like that. I did it from the beginning, like the other beginning, like the 114 to
from the end. No, I just did it systematically from the beginning.
I try done with
every Ramadan try to read all of it, and beyond Ramadan I try to do one hizb a day, so read it slow. read it slower through the rest of the year. But during Ramadan, I do try to complete a full reading of it. So right now, I'm Surah Yasin basically. So I'm like the second page of Surah Yasin.
This brings up an interesting thing. It's talking like the fasting, because like I think like even outside of Ramadan, we need to fast. Like it's a prescription.
It's very good. It's very good for you. It's very good for you fasting. I mean, you don't have to fast outside Ramadan, I don't think, but
it's really recommended. It's just like fighting, like when it's literally
it's
same thing.
It's good. I mean, what is it that even now they're saying, health-wise, it's good to fast twice a week, right? So I try to do that, and then of course there's the whole idea about fasting the white days, right? Days of the full moon, so you can turn into a werewolf. So I mean, I try to do this sometimes, but sometimes I forget. But regular fasting, intermittent fasting is very good for you.
Yeah. Also about the fasting, I remember the verses about it. Basically, even look what it says. Before it, there's a fidya. There's a part about the fidya before the Ramadan one, and then after it doesn't mention the fidya anymore. It just mentions if you're sick. Does that mean there's no fidya in Ramadan itself?
No, I think there is. I think when you commit yourself to a certain regular fast, right? Like Ramadan, even outside of Ramadan, if you've committed yourself to certain fasting where you want to actually take it seriously, like
just like it says,
like you've made an oath to yourself that you're going to fast every Monday or something, right? Then it falls under the same regulations as making up days for Ramadan.
Yeah. So, but like the thing that I like brought my attention is the fact that it's not mentioned again, like the whoever is ill or on a journey. That's why that's why it made me think that there's no fidya in Ramadan at all, bro.
No, I think there is. I mean, which verse are you talking about specifically?
2184 to 2185.
2184. أيام معدودات فمن كان منكم مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر وعلى الذين يطيقونه فدية طعام مسكين فمن تطوع خيرا فهو خير له وأن تصوموا خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون. And then it talks about Shahr Ramadan.
But it repeats if you're on sick on a journey, then a set number of days, and then it doesn't repeat the other one. That's why.
ففدية من أيام أخرى. I think it's implied though, right? But I see what you mean. So you're saying because here it says if you're sick, then just do it in other days, right? Then just to do it in other days. And here it's saying, okay, do it and where is it? فعدة من أيام أخرى, right? And then it says وعلى الذين يطيقونه فدية طعام مسكين. So I think it's just adding that. I mean, even this idea that it's أيام معدودات, right? أيام معدودات, right? It's talking about what's prescribed, right? So I think the whole passage is, in the end, it is still about, it's talking يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام. Fasting is prescribed for you. But when fasting, when is it a fasting which has been prescribed, right? So up to here, it's prescribed to us, but nothing is mentioned about the when, right? But that comes later. Of course, it's Ramadan, right? The fasting of Ramadan is the thing which has been written for us, prescribed for us, right? So it's still all related, still all the same passage. So it does come down to the same thing. I think it's just mentioned here that's just it's just to double down on the idea that if you can't do it in Ramadan, you can just try to do it in other days. The fidya is really for the thing. It's for those who are able.
Yeah.
Right. If you're able to do it, right, but you don't deliberately, then you can make a fidya, right? You should do a fidya.
Yeah. Also, what do you think of Sam Garen's explanation of the sacred months? I don't know why it was kind of weird reading it because I didn't really understand it too much.
I don't know, to be honest. Well, what is it?
Let me search it up and invaluable. Shahr haram. Okay. It's so much typing. Let me see if I can type it in the chat. It's a lot of typing. God. I don't know why he does. He always talks about the traditionalists instead of just explaining.
What do you mean typing?
No, I wrote it in the chat, studio chat.
Are you reading it from? Is it like in a document or?
No, it's on the website. You can just click on the thing.
Well, what's the summary of it? What does he say about the sacred months?
He basically says it's like a temporary thing. He says the pilgrimage is closed, C928, and he says that the month is made out of the treaty in the beginning of Surah Tawbah. I still don't know what al-shahr haram bil-shahr haram means. Like, does that mean like I'm not the best, honestly, at understanding this stuff, but
I mean, the sacred months is a very interesting thing because, I think I did a stream about the sacred months, just asking why, are these sacred months, are they found in other cultures and communities? Because the Quran talks about them as there being things that were set on the day that He created the heavens and the earth. Right?
Yeah.
So if that's the case, then every prophet would have told his people, or every warner would have told his people about the sacred months, right? That there are 4 of them which are sacred. In Arba'at and Hurum. But I don't know about any other peoples which have a concept of there being 4 sacred months.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of anything like that?
Nope.
Yeah, I haven't either. I mean, I left that as an open question on that stream. I don't think anybody else has come out with one either.
Yeah, I think Sam Garrett actually did talk about it with the verse that talks about the count of months is 12.
Yeah, in the Lahi, it's yeah, so 12 months in God's sight on the day He created the heavens and the earth. Minha arba'atun hurum, right? From them are 4 which are sacred.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, you could sort of read it as saying that minha arba'at hurum for you Arabs. Among it, there are 4 which you, the Arabs, have taken as being.
Because it just talked about it after, like, so wrong not yourselves concerning you, I fight that all idolaters together. And they fight you, like.
Yeah. So it could be taken as that. But the way it's introduced, though, is very global, right?
Yeah.
Something like it talks about there being 12 months on the day that He created the heavens and the earth. Of them 4 are hurum, right? Well, that seems to be saying that this is sort of like a it's not something which is just local to the Arabs. It's something which is
global.
Global, right? It's something on the day He created the heavens and the earth.
But like, he says something interesting. He says, minha is actually talking about the idda, the count within this count.
So you could, even if you take it that way, that's it's 4 which are 4 from within this count are sacred, meaning you can have any 4 that you want. Yeah, right. I think that's what he means by that. From these 4, from these 12, 4 should be sacred. Okay, and it doesn't have to be the same ones as the Arabs have. It could be any other ones. You could sort of like spin it that way. I mean, it's obvious that the Arabs have chosen those 4. Well, 3 of them are really for Hajj, right?
Yeah.
To allow free travel during the months of Hajj. For the
Yeah.
people to go to Hajj, a month from anywhere in Arabia to be able to travel to Mecca and
I don't
do
know why they
Hajj.
made it 10 days today, like the Hajj. Like, why is it only 10 when it's clearly there's months for it? It's not debatable even.
Yeah. So that's why, and of course, there's one other sacred month, Rajab, which is by itself. The Arabs consider that to be a sacred month, and that doesn't really have a reason behind it. Not like the months of Hajj. There's a reason why those should be
No fighting.
sacred months. Yeah, sacred months. And so I could understand this idea that in other other cultures would have other sacred months for their rituals or whatever, or during their important times, important seasons. Let's say there's an agricultural um, an agricultural country where there's a certain season where where everybody's like harvesting their crops, then
Yeah.
you'd want that sort of those months to be sacred months where nobody's going to be fighting, marauding, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
It would have been an excellent global thing if this could be taken as something by the
serious,
United
yes.
Nations, for example, right? That you just have this one Quranic concept, to be added as like a part of
everywhere.
a part of the United Nations, to have 4 months of the year where all hostilities stop. That would be an amazing thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, the point is that it is a very interesting thing. I would really like it if could learn from some historian somewhere if there are other cultures and places which had taken certain number of months in the year to be sacred, where all fighting is stopped. Because as of now,
yeah.
it's only Arabs that I know about.
Yeah. Also, why do you think like people like Sam Garens get like super angry about Mecca or like in like the Kaaba?
I don't know.
Because like every time I see him, like he knows the pilgrimage is there. He even talks about it. He translates it, Hajj into pilgrimage, but he just he talks about Petra.
Yeah, he thinks that Petra is Mecca, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Still, even now. I think he hasn't like posted anything in a long time, right?
Yeah, in a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, because he stopped.
I mean, the only convincing thing for me is he talks about the valleys and like they'll come to you from every like mountainous area. And it's him talking about it was next to in Hajj.
Yeah, but I mean that's just you can take that as just being rhetorical, right? The people come from everywhere, right? And the other thing is that the Hajj. I mean, I think the Hajj is mostly. I mean, it is a global thing now, but it can, I think, people from all over the world can come to do the Hajj in Mecca.
Yeah, too bad they make it only 10 days.
Yeah,
it basically makes it impossible.
Yeah. I mean, in the future that would have to change, right?
Yeah.
Right now, it can sort of be managed. I mean, it is managed, but
they're gonna change it. They're changing it. Like they're admitting that they have problems. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I mean, if I could, I'd go and just do my Hajj in the non-Hajj times.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you can do that, can't you? Or do they just not let you like?
When you're in Saudi, yeah, you can. You just go, and there'll be nobody there.
Yeah, honestly, that might be better. I don't know what the months are. I want to research just so I can know what the months are to go there.
Months of Hajj.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're known. The known months of Hajj. All right.
Months of
See the quickly in the chat.
Pilgrimage.
Assalamu alaikum, Sajos.
I think the Arab countries will write.
All right. Oh, against Iran, yeah. It's all sectarian doctrine, brother. It will be our downfall. All right. Not sure what you mean by it's there. Okay, I want to quickly finish. Stop sharing this.
Oh yeah, it says it right here. It says from the Baqarah, Al-Hajj Ashhar Ma'lumat. So he says, he translates as appointed. I mean, the word means known. I mean, the word kind of just means known. Ma'lumat means known. So the months are known.
Yeah, the known months of Hajj.
Yeah, I don't think it's like, it's not God appointing. He never said he appointed. He only says the months which are done in it are known. Which is kind of interesting. I don't know the question. I just gotta remember what I wanted to ask. I guess it was about like the concept of like shirk. I guess it was in Surah Al-Furqan. Where is it? Yes, the third 25:3. اتخذوا من دونه إلهة لا يخلقون شيئا وهم يخلقون ولا يملكون إلا أنفسهم ضرا ولا نفعا ولا يملكون موتا ولا حياة ولا نشورا. I think this is talking about like they created nothing, which means like they weren't even like, actually they were humans.
Which verse is that?
It was 25:3.
25:3. 25, is that Surah? واتخذوا من دونه آلهة لا يخلقون شيئا وهم يخلقون ولا يملكون لأنفسهم ضرا ولا نفعا ولا يملكون موتا ولا حياة.
I think it's referring to the verse before it, where it says God created everything. So he's God obviously saying they did not create any of this. It's sort of like that.
Yeah. He's saying لم يكن له شريك في الملك. He had no sharik in the mulk, and he created everything and proportioned it exactly. And yeah, I mean, there's some. I mean, there's what was the verse I just read? I read today, which is very. I mean, as you do a khatim of the Quran, you see over and over again that really, when it comes to shirk, it really is about. I mean, look at this. Just a verse. I mean, it's all over. But this is a verse here which shows clearly that that shirk and the mushrikeen it's about people. It's not about
because it's right after. It's a bit after it. Where is it? Let me go to it. It's
I mean that verse. Yes, not that verse that you pointed at just now. Yes,
right after it talks about it.
But there are some which are even clearer. I mean, this verse.
I also have it. Let me get it. It's when God gets the partners.
Surah Fatir, it's 35, right? Surah Fatir, 35. 40.
It was a verse about the partners being taken in.
So look at this, for example. قُلْ رَأَيْتُمْ شُرَكَاءَكُمْ الَّذِينَ تَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ. Right?
Yeah.
Say, look at the shuraka, right? That you invoke apart from Allah, right? أَرُونِي مَاذَا خَلَقُوا. Right? So it's similar to the one that you just showed. Show me what they created on the earth, or if they have a partner, or if they have a share in the creation basically of the heavens.
Yeah, of the heavens and the earth, creation of both.
Or, and it says here, look, أَمْ آتَيْنَاهُمْ كِتَابًا فَهُمْ عَلَى بَيِّنَةٍ مِّنْهُ. Or did we give them who? Give who?
The shuraka.
The shuraka, right? Did we give them books so that they are upon guidance upon it? So it's obviously people. And God's not going to say, oh, did we give these idols, these like inanimate idols? Did we give them books and they are on it? And then it says at the end, بَلْ يَعِدُ الظَّالِمُونَ بَعْضُهُمْ بَعْضًا إِلَّا غُرُورًا. right? The zalimun, the unjust, they are promising each other nothing but delusions. Meaning what? Meaning these are people promising each other things. You've got the idols and the idol worshippers, right?
Yeah.
And they are both people, and they are both promising each other different, delusions, right?
Yeah.
So there are so many verses in the Quran that show very clearly that the actual shirk and the actual mushrikeen and the shuraka in the Quran, these are all people. It's all about people.
Let me see. I remember I found a verse that it was also kind of similar to what he just read. Let me see. I'm looking for it. Where is it? Long period, first time. I'm looking for it. Give me a second. Them all together. And also, there's also another one. It talks about how they cannot harm them, or they cannot what is it called, or save them. I think it's because like whenever you do any harm, without God willing it, just doesn't happen. So I think that's what it means. ما يضرهم ولا ينفعهم. Do you think that's correct? I think it's what it is.
Which verse specifically?
That's 10:18.
Okay, ويعبدون من دون الله ما لا يضرهم ولا ينفعهم ويقولون هؤلاء شفعاؤنا عند الله. Right?
Yeah.
So they are in ibadah, they are in servitude to others than Allah, those who will neither harm them nor benefit them. Right?
Yeah, I mean,
harm them nor benefit them. And they say these are our shufa'a, these are our intercessors with Allah.
Are these the dead people? Is it like you talking about a different type?
No, I think it's talking about living people. I think it's talking about living people.
But like it says, لا يضرهم ولا ينفعهم.
Yeah, that in the end they are not benefiting them or nor harm them. So it's like saying that these people are useless. They can't really help you. They can't really harm you, right? They don't have any real harm towards you.
They can physically harm you, but I don't think that's what it's talking
about.
about.
Yeah, but of course, it's not talking about that, right?
Yeah.
It's talking more about can these people actually really benefit you? Can they give you
judgment? Yeah, they don't do anything. It's kind of the lie.
Yeah, they can't do that, right? They can't really help you in any real way, right?
Yeah. I don't know. Every time I read, I've been going like super literal for some reason, and then getting stuck on something.
Yeah, that's fine.
I had another question. Let me remember what I wanted to say. Yeah, I wanted to get the verse that I told you about. Wait, there we go. It's actually at 10:28. It's not that very far. كانكم أنتم وشركاءكم فزيلنا بينهم وقالوا شركاءهم ما كنتم أيانا تعبدون.
Yeah, that's another one of those verses which shows clearly again that the idols are people, right?
Yeah.
Right, on the day that we gather them together, and then we will say to those who committed shirk, stay right there, stand there. You and your shurka, you and your the idols that you used to worship, right? And then we sort of like place a rift between them. I'm guessing sort of like to question each one. وقال شركاؤهم ما كنتم إيانا تعبدون. And the shuraka, the idols say, you never used to worship us, right?
Yeah.
So, again, it's not going to be like these. It's not going to be Hubal and Lat and Uzza that God is going to resurrect and make them stand there and ask them, and Hubal is going to say, "Hey, you never used to worship us." No, it's going to be people, right?
Yeah.
Deny that they were, that they were in ibadah. They say, فَكَفَى بِاللَّهِ شَهِيدًا بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَكُمْ إِن كُنَّا عَنْ عِبَادَتِكُمْ لَغَافِلِينَ. Right?
Yeah.
Enough of witness between us and you. We were surely unaware of your servitude, your ibadah towards us. Right? And this is true. There are many who of these like the idols among people, right? who they still command people, right? They command them, do this, don't do this, do that, etc. But they often just think people are just, obeying them. But sometimes they're not realizing that people are actually in ibadah to them, right? They're actually just obeying them. They're obeying them out of reverence, out of real servitude, right?
Yeah.
You do have these idols who are unaware that people are sort of like, in servitude to them, that they are obeying them out of reverence, out of like loyalty, out of real servitude, like slaves. Okay.
Yeah.
And others who do understand. There are others who do understand that they have that power over others.
Yeah.
Mm.
Let me see. I want to remember something. Because you don't stream very often, and I don't really discuss the Qur'an with anyone, basically.
Inshallah, I'll try to do more. I mean, I used to do every week.
You're probably busy, so
yeah, I actually did weekly for, I think it was for a whole year. It was every Saturday and every Sunday or something. And then I had to sort of like slow it down and started doing it bi-weekly.
Yeah, also, why have the people on the subreddit been like kind of dumbified? I don't know what it is, but it just kind of feels like the people are.
Say that again, sorry, I didn't catch that.
The people in the Qur'an subreddit, they feel like they've been kind of dumbified.
The Qur'aniyun subreddit. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It goes through waves. Where you get for a streak, you get people who are really, really sort of like anti everything, right? And just they say if something's on the Quran, then that's it. It's not allowed. It's wrong. Like
it's on their phone.
Yeah, like we just had somebody saying that to say Allahu Akbar is wrong.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
It's not in the Quran or something, and what can you do? It's just
yeah, the guy you were talking about just made a post from like 19 hours ago about the translation.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. Like people are searching. They're trying to like gain certainty. They're trying to find their way through. But and sometimes you overshoot, right? Sometimes people overshoot. And you just got to give them a space to try to, calibrate.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, bro. If you have anything now, let me know. But otherwise, because I want to close it up soon.
All right, bro.
Pretty late over
when
here.
are you gonna try to stream again? Next week?
Probably next week. Yes. By next week, it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be Eid, right?
I think so. Yeah. You should.
Yeah.
Well,
no. I mean, this coming weekend, I'll probably do one this coming weekend. It's Thursday now, or Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
So I'll probably try to do one on Sunday, and because Eid will be a bit later after that, so I'll try to do one on Sunday, and yeah, just do one on Sunday, I think.
Yeah. All right.
Thank
you.
Okay.
I'll try to do some research more into the stories, and I'll try to bring something next week, inshallah.
All right. Okay. Brilliant. Excellent.
All right.
Okay. Allah. Take care.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, goodbye.
All right. Okay. So let's end it there. We didn't get to watch much more of this, but that's fine. I do want to finish watching it myself, so I'll just show it here. If anybody who wants to, this looks like it's going to be an excellent discussion. It's about hadith, history, and origins of the sacred city already. Some very interesting ideas being floated around here. All right, okay. So let's end it there. Jazakumullah khair, and inshallah, speak to you all soon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.